I've come back over to Wembley Police Station just to see whether or not they've learnt their lesson and they understand about respecting people's right to film, but also to see whether or not they uphold your rights. And that's what we have to look at, and that's what we do. All I'm going to do now, guys, is cross the road and try and get in a little bit further and see what's what. So that's exactly what I'll do.
Alright folks, brace yourselves. We're back at Wembley Police Station for an audit that's about to expose the thin line between authority and overreach. Today, you're going to see officers confronting a citizen exercising a basic public right to film in public. Watch carefully. Tension, ego, and legal ignorance collide. Who's really in charge here? And will common sense prevail, or will it be all bluff and intimidation? Let's dive in.
That's got to be a first. Whilst at the station, actually getting a good morning. So at the moment, guys, this is your reception area, but there are quite a fair few people in the reception area, so I'll give them their privacy and I will just let them get on with that. And if it becomes empty while I'm here, then I'll take a little look in, but until then I'll just sort of take a wander out around here. Just there, just by that wooden plank, was where I got stopped there too by the equivalent to like a football team that came out, and I know I said it.
Notice how the auditor sets the scene. Public space, a police station, and a simple camera lens. It seems mundane at first, but here's the catch. Accountability often makes officers nervous. That polite greeting. It's textbook community policing, but also a prelude to a stress test. For viewers, this is where you start to see how power dynamics shift when authority is questioned. Have you ever noticed how calm interactions can turn tense in seconds just because someone holds a badge?
A big neck. So I don't know what the full capacity is. I've not actually looked at that, roughly what the staffing is per shift. But yeah, let's just sort of wait and see what sort of happens. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll just hold it there and then I will come back to you shortly. I'm good, thank you.
Now watch closely. The auditor spots flanking maneuvers, a classic tactic to unsettle someone. This isn't about crime prevention. It's about control. The officer is positioning for influence, not evidence. Here's the legal insight. In a public space, the citizen is perfectly within their rights. This is a perfect example of how perceived authority can override knowledge, and how important it is for citizens to remain composed. What would you do in that moment?
Mind you. He thought about it, but then I think he thought better of it.
And here's where it gets shocking. The officer threatens detention under the Terrorism Act, but can't cite a single section. Section 43, for example, allows detention under specific conditions, yet he's improvising on ego alone. This is alarming for anyone who trusts police knowledge. They should know the law better than the average citizen. Notice the panic and retreat when pressed for details. That's not just drama. It's a legal failure on full display.
Well, who are you?
I'm police officer.
Okay, have you got your warrant card on you? Okay, if you can actually identify yourself properly for me.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with filming, I'll just ask a question more.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want you to identify yourself properly.
Absolutely.
Okay, and your shoulder number, please.
It's 842 Charlie Oscar.
842 Charlie Oscar. Okay.
That's that. So I would just like to speak to you about why you're filming.
Well, why do you feel that there's a need to speak to me about filming?
Potentially because you're doing it outside a police station. That's the only reason I'm really checking you. I appreciate it's a public space.
Okay.
And I appreciate you're entitled to film. I
There we
just want
go.
to know why
So,
you were
so
filming
then, if
outside
you've
the
actually said that, you should know that there's no problem.
Not necessarily. That's why what I'm concerned about, sir, is obviously you're filming outside a police station.
Okay, are you-
People coming in and out. That's the only reason.
And what I'm doing, is it lawful or not?
Potentially, it could be considered.
Now,
as
is it lawful or not to film?
Filming a public place is lawful.
There we
However,
go.
It could potentially be classified as also for staff.
Okay,
That's what I'm
and
just checking,
and
so.
what is your reasonable suspicion then for that? What would that be?
Because obviously I've seen you filming.
Well, that's
gates.
not reasonable suspicion.
Well, it is.
No, it's not. You've got to have backup evidence, okay, for reasonable suspicion.
Sorry, you've been filming the gate.
Yes.
Filming. You agree? You've been filming police officers coming in.
I've been filming.
Correct?
I've been filming.
And therefore,
I've been filming
I-
public property, okay, and people that are there to serve and protect the public.
And absolutely fine. I have no issue with
Okay.
that. And
So-
that's why I'm checking and speaking to yourself. Okay. And want to confirm exactly who you are and what you're doing.
Well, I'm not going to confirm who I am because I don't need to.
Well, you do. Actually.
No, I
So-
don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Don't tell me I have to. Okay, because I don't have to. No, don't put your hands on me.
Sir, you're
No,
right.
yeah, don't put your hands on me. I will move myself.
What an absolute circus. The officer's bluff is called, and the result is a retreat. If this were a genuine threat of terrorism, he couldn't just walk away. This is intimidation masquerading as law enforcement. The auditor's frustration is real. We expect professionals who know the law, not guessing games. And the takeaway here for the audience: power without knowledge erodes trust faster than anything else.
For the specific law, watch the panic set in when he realizes his authority doesn't match his knowledge.
You're detained for the purpose of a search.
Okay, under what law am I detained?
You're detained because I'm concerned.
Under what law? Give me the law that you're going to detain me on then.
For the purpose of I'm concerned that.
Yeah, but what law? What actual law are you going to detain me under?
Sir,
You still haven't told me that. You can't just tell me you're going to detain me. You need to tell me what law you're detaining me under. So what law are you detaining me?
look, potentially I'm concerned about.
No,
reasons-
that's, yeah, but you being concerned isn't the actual law. You said you're detaining me. I'm asking
So, I
you to
don't-
tell me what actual law you're detaining me under.
Oh, okay. Can we just have a chat?
If you're going to detain me, then you need to tell me what law you're going to detain me under. If you can't tell me a law that you're going to detain me under, then I'm not detained.
Okay.
Detaining me for?
I didn't want to beat that out of it, sir. And obviously, you don't mind you filming. I don't particularly have an issue with it. I just wanted to ask you some questions about why.
Yeah, and as I've said, I don't need to identify myself. You told me you're going to detain me. I've asked you to specifically tell me what law you are detaining me under. If you can't tell me that law, then you are not doing your job correctly and you do not know the law. And for that, you shouldn't be serving the public if you can't even tell me what law you're potentially going to try and detain me under.
Sir, I'm trying to be reasonable.
Well, I'm being reasonable. I've asked you to do your job properly. Okay, and to tell me if you're going to detain me, then what law are you going to detain me under?
Under Terrorism Act.
Yeah,
Terrorism Act.
what part? What part of the Terrorism Act are you going to detain me under? You can't just say the Terrorism Act. You need to give me the specific part. There's a lot in the Terrorism Act.
There is.
Okay, so
Okay,
I'm asking you for the specific part of the Terrorism Act. Okay, can you actually do that?
At this precise moment, no.
Okay, so in other words, you can't tell me the actual precise
But I
law.
do know
But
I'm
if you try,
detained.
yeah, but if you
I
try and
do know
detain
I'm-
me,
Look at this behavior. Instead of returning to duty, the officer lingers, possibly consulting colleagues or checking his phone. This retroactive law search is a quiet admission that the initial approach was poorly founded. Essentially, we're witnessing the aftermath of a failed attempt at control. For viewers, this is a crucial lesson. Accountability in public spaces often challenges authority, and when officers don't know the law, Their ego does the talking.
Desperately not to. I'm just asking you politely.
Well, no, you are not doing your job correctly.
And therefore, that's a learning
Okay?
experience for myself.
So, you not doing your job correctly, I am not detained, okay? So, you either move on with your business and leave me alone, okay? Or you do whatever you're doing. Okay? So, that's your call that you make. Okay? So, you make that choice for yourself.
Okay, and I will do. Thank you, sir.
Okay?
We'll get back to you.
So guys, what an absolute joke that was. So he's telling me he's going to detain me, okay, under the Terrorism Act, but he has no idea, okay, he can't just say Terrorism Act, okay, he is absolutely full of bull. That he has no idea what the law is, and he should not be in that position, okay, of serving an actual, as a serving constable, that he should not be serving the public when he don't even know the law. And I don't think you can get any more blunt than that. And that was that guy that came out and then walked all the way around that where that fence is. But then, as you've seen, he's then come back, right, and he tried his most desperate to potentially detain me. But as I said, if you're not going to quote me what the law is, it's unlawful. So what an absolute joker he is. Absolute joker. I don't think I've ever had anything quite like that.
And the grand finale, shouting Section 47 from a moving van, completely wrong. Section 47 covers blanket powers by a senior officer, not individuals. This is confidently wrong at its finest. It's both hilarious and alarming, a reminder that a badge doesn't guarantee legal knowledge. This whole audit underscores why knowing your rights and calmly asking for specific laws matters more than ever.
What he can actually do. So it looks like he's actually on the... Yeah, so he's looking it up on his phone, but... So there he is there, look, on his phone. But what an absolute joke. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before in my life. What a clown. Well, in my eyes, as you guys know, yeah, that's got to be, well, he wouldn't even be a solid turd. That's what you call almost liquid rain. Because that was absolute diarrhea what he came out with. Think that he can act and do what he said and then going to grab me, no chance. An absolute joker. So what an absolute joker. So the question is, has he gone in to get his mates, or is he going in to find out what the law is? Who knows? Because at this moment in time he definitely doesn't know the law. And as I said, guys, this is at Wembley, so they've got a fair amount of officers here, and you can see there's a number of officers in cars that have gone in and out, in and out. A few said good morning. I'd only been here a couple of minutes, and I had the first one actually turn around and say good morning, which is quite nice. But then you then get people like this one that absolutely destroys it for the good ones and the ones that were polite. And as I said, I had a couple that were polite, and so even though they only said good morning, it's fine. They could have just driven straight past, but they just said good morning, didn't say anything else, and that was it. They just left me about my business. And then you get this goon that comes down, and he actually went out. He went all the way round there to the other side of that building there, and then he's then come back, and then that's where you can see then he's just an absolute turd that he really doesn't know or have a clue what he's talking about and what the actual law is. So that's what makes me laugh completely. So that's one full van of them.
So here's the takeaway. Never provide ID just because an officer claims concern. Always ask which specific law is being applied. Silence and composure are your best tools against fishing expeditions. And remember, badges don't equal legal expertise. If you found this breakdown as jaw-dropping as we did, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more detailed courtroom and police audit breakdowns. Stay informed, stay safe, and keep watching.